So it is my pleasure now to introduce our closing lecture for this morning. I'm Miss Silvana Cincotti from the Université of the University of Montpellier, who's going to talk about Drovetti and Rifaud in Luxor. Thank you very much.
Good morning to everyone. I'm honored to be here, and I would like to thank the organization for inviting me today. Today I'm going to tell you a story of a man that did excavation in Egypt for more than a decade. In the first half of the 19th century, 10 years that will mark the beginning of collection as Louvre or British. This man, Jacques Rifaud, is the main character of an ongoing research following a PhD in Montpellier, and the director was Valéry and Christophe. The starting point has been the desire to make a new approach to the study of the Egyptian collection in Turin and the debated context of archaeological contextualization. We know, in most cases, we are forced to catalog the find as a known origin, and often the story of the discovery is unsaid. A research like this has many paths to afford: the study of travelers' memories, letters, biographies, the analysis of drawings, and all the texts that can be related to the beginning of the discipline we call now Egyptology. The analysis should be carried on, checking constantly data in our possession. The excavation of Jacques Rifaud in Thebes took place between 1817 and 1823. He was one of the agents that worked in Egypt for the French consul, as you know, Bernardino Daumas. At the end of this period, Rifaud decided to continue his activity in the north of Egypt, especially in the ancient city of Tanis. His last stay will be in Alexandria, where he spent his last year in Egypt, unfortunately in distress. During the month of August 1826, Rifaud began the journey that will bring back in Europe. In his mind, a new project: the creation of a museum in Marseille, his hometown, where exposed his drawings. The subject of the drawings were both natural and archaeological, and Rifaud was strongly motivated to create a complete catalogue. He went to Paris to find a publisher, but the plans were initially considered unfortunately without scientific value, and at the end he decided to publish a book that you see in the middle, Tableau de l'Égypte de la Nubie, and it was 1830. Unfortunately, the book was a commercial failure, and Rifaud died forgotten by the academic world in Geneva in 9 September 1852. For 2 centuries, only silent signature left engraved on the statues he found preserved his memory, only a name and a year. What I tell you came partly from the unpublished manuscript that Rifaud left when he died in his hotel room. All these extremely important documents are now in the Public Library of Geneva, and the first purpose of this research is, in perspective, the complete analysis of the Fort Rifaud. He was born on 28 November 1786, and we only know the name of his mother, Anne Senec, and Joseph Rifaud, his father, a gilder artisan. After an artistic training with a French sculptor, he started to work for Louvre before joining the army and decided to leave to Spain. Prisoners of war in 1808, he arrived in Egypt in February 1814, and there he met the French consul Bernardino Drovetti. In 1817, after a long travel in Nubia, Rifaud begins the excavation in Thebes, but not the way Drovetti expected in Gurna, where cheaply it was possible to find small objects easy to sell. It's very interesting to listen, and I underline, it's really interesting to listen what happened directly from his voice, from his memories. I have already seen all the places, the most important places, to do some digging, but I want to be sure to work on the eastern part of Thebes instead of the west, because I had a great disgust to go disturbing mummies, for no more than few antiquities, because my interest is to discover some beautiful monuments and colossal statues. This was the beginning of one of the most interesting archaeological joint venture, the working relation between the French consul and the sculptor. The working agreements, very important, you can read in the manuscript, and the working agreements are precisely explained in Rifaud memory with days, years, and places of the excavation. He worked on the east bank of Luxor from 1870 to 1818. Initially, it was considered a partnership that includes a division of pieces, this is very important, unbalanced in favor of who had in charge the excavation costs. 2/3 of the found of the pieces for Drovetti and 1/3 to Rifaud. The manuscript contains, the manuscript in Geneva, contains several pages of economic issue, long list, very long list of give and take with the price of each statue. Rifaud lists all finds that came from the same site in the same list, being more specific where things were different. As you can see, Rifaud gives precise limit of time of the work done, and in most cases, you see the 1870 to 1880, 11 months, all the found 11 months. And you can see from the here mentioned. In his manuscript, Rifaud does not mention a point in time prior, and we can begin from here to define his work, his excavation. To be more precise, before starting the excavation in Karnak, Rifaud decided unwillingly to help Drovetti to remove some coffin from a burial. Sorry, this is the starting of in the Temple of Mut, the beginning of the excavation, and you see in the third line in red, 1870, the beginning of the excavation in the Temple of Mut, where he began the excavation. And to be more precise, before the excavation in the Temple of Mut, he decided unwillingly to help Drovetti to remove some coffin from a burial. And also Belzoni had tried to do the same, and these are all explained in the Turin Museum. Reading the manuscript, we understand that Rifaud was in the burial TT32 in El Coca. Rifaud tells some details that match perfectly with what we know. For example, we found bricks inside the tomb, now in the Egyptian Museum in Turin, and the Hungarian mission in 18 find the other bricks, thus not recovered by Rifaud. Then Rifaud began the work, as I said, in the Temple of Mut. And he dug 4 statues, you write, 4 statues, a tête de lion, a crow, and the body of a woman, and he described the moment he dug 4 statues with lions head, and he said, "Je le remis à Luxor," meaning with Luxor, his house, the headquarters of Rifaud. The first excavation area seems to be, and it's easy to believe, the Temple of Mut. With so many Sekhmet statues, it had to be very attractive. In this area we were meeting long time before, you know, the Italian botanist Vitaliano Donati. So we can assume that it's from here, from the Temple of Mut, that came the statue of the seated Sekhmet today in the Egyptian Museum of Turin. Following a chronological line, in the following pages of the manuscript, Rifaud said that he found the famous bas relief in red granite that is in Turin. In the same place there, you can see in the red circle, in the green circle, there he found other masterpieces under the eyes of an astonished Louis-Nicolas Auguste de Forbin, the director of Louvre, who called him a lucky hand, a man with a lucky hand. In his diary, de Forbin adds details, for example, the day of the discovery of this statue, which perfectly fit with what Rifaud tells in his memory. It was February 1880, and they were together in the east of Karnak. So Jean-Jacques Rifaud worked in Karnak in this chronological order. The first excavation area in the south, then he moved everything, man and all the equipment, in the east area. The analysis of the manuscript takes us on the trail of the third step, related closely to the standing Sekhmet now in Turin. A short passage in the manuscript is very important. Drovetti reserved, Drovetti reserved for himself 13 statues of standing Sekhmet. We can identify this area, as we say, in the north part of the temple of the palace of Karnak, with the temple of Ptah, not the temple of Amun bordering the area that leads to Montu. The same temple is included in the list of the sites excavated by Rifaud that we can find also in his book. He made write also the distance, so we can understand that this is the temple of Ptah, where we found all the standing Sekhmet now in Turin. Of course, Rifaud that did not work only in this area, but for example, this is very interesting, he worked in the central area of the temple of Karnak, in the front of the first pylon, but in any way, in these 3 places, we can imagine a massive use of personnel and equipment. Months later, many statues, we say in the manuscript, were stored at the entrance of the temple of Karnak, waiting to be transported to Alexandria. This exhausting experience is described in detail, especially about the displacement of the statues of Seti II, now in Turin, the one that is in the left, and the other that is now in Paris on the right. While engaged in this dedicated text, which has the feeling of an important chapter or work that goes to end, with the final departure of 7 boats full of masterpieces, 6 children died, buried under the sand, in an area where Rifaud had completed his excavation. Rifaud remembered this tragic moment in his memories several times, but where did it happen? To understand where it was, we need to make a time leap to reach Georges Le Grain. When he was engaged in the restoration of the temple of Ptah, he heard strange rumors. the discovery of a statue of Sekhmet scared the locals with the old story of an ogress that in past would have devoured children die here in a tragic accident. The sweet relationship between Rifaud and Drovetti unfortunately will end in a short time. The main stumbling stone was, you can imagine, the money, obviously, the division of the art treasure, and the sale of the treasure in Europe. Rifaud reminds, writing his memories, the meeting with Auguste de Forbin, which seeing the Drovetti collection, at the time made only by small objects from the tombs, really astonished say, but it's only a cabinet of dolls. It's very poor, it's a poor thing. The great statues from Karnak and Tanis gave the necessary artistic importance, but Rifaud remember that he had been only paid with low-value pieces, and part of these pieces maybe remain here in Egypt, because he had no money to pay the transport to Europe. He also remembered many times the impossibility for him to pay the transport of the find to Europe. For example, the round that you see here at the entrance of the Temple of Mut, the round preserved at the entrance of the Temple of Mut, this statue was part of the work gave to Rifaud as payment, and this is the pendant of the one that is in Turin. And this explained in the manuscript that Rifaud, you see here, he writes clearly it's the pendant of the one that is in Turin Museum. But the one in the Museum of Turin is perfectly, is beautiful. And obviously, Drovetti take the beautiful one and get to Rifaud as payment, the destroyed. And voice for a long time forgotten, that of Jean-Jacques Rifaud, has waited for a long time to be heard. And today, it's extremely important, the study of this manuscript, because the first-person narrative of work in Egypt during the first half of the 19th century now require an extensive analysis and need to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this very interesting story of the life of Rifaud and life of Rifaud in Egypt. Can I open the floor to questions?
Maybe you will read everything when I publish all the work.
Well, I think it's very interesting, you know, that the sequence of his journal is giving us a really clear timeline of where and when he excavated. And this might give us a chance to replace more precisely some of the material now in collections on the site.
Yes, because studying the manuscript, at the end, I didn't work only about the Egyptian Museum in Turin, but obviously Rifaud tells everything, many things about the other collection. So I divide the work during the PhD in different museums. So I had information about British, the Louvre, and the other museums all around the world, because this is the work. Because it's really difficult. The first thing you maybe understand that the writing of Rifaud is not clear. He used a French that is terrible French, more than mine. So, and the other problem is that maybe when you write something that is not related to the statue, you start, as when we think, he started to write of another things, and then another one, like a stream of consciousness. And it's really difficult to keep the information all together and say, wait a moment, what are you saying? Because I don't understand. So this take time, but it was really interesting, because you can listen, as I said, from the real voice, from the past, yes.
Just a question, I'm sorry, do you have a date for the publication?
No pressure.
Mention it. I'm sorry, you said when I publish it, I'm sorry, the question is plain. You said when I publish it, so I'm just asking for more information.
Yes. I hope soon.
I don't know, okay. I will grow.
No, maybe I need Christian Greco here to ask.
As a Swiss, this is a Swiss question. How the manuscripts of Rifaud arrived in Geneva?
Because Rifaud go to Geneva to a short time of period, but unfortunately he died there. Yes. When he arrived, yes, in the hotel. Yes, but he had a terrible life. He used here in Egypt 2 little children, Rifaud, and he said that Legolo was a different person, and he tried to make a journey to forget everything about Egypt. He suffered here very much, and he go to Tuscany, and he go to also Switzerland, but I think in other places all around in Europe. It's all in the manuscript in Geneva, where he died and
Got the curse.
yes, I hope not to be touched by it. Okay.
And a self-serving comment, who can thank the Swiss for recognizing the value of this material value.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. I'm interested, of course, you can imagine, that all the standing Sekhmets were from the Temple of Mut, from the Temple of Tarnat Mut. This is new. We have read your article, and it's very interesting. It has to. Does the manuscript, because we only know pages here and there, the other libraries don't have the complete report. You must have had the whole one in hand. Are there any other Sekhmets from other sites which Rifaud found and shipped abroad?
He speaks about a problem, a misunderstanding with, as always, with Drovetti, because Drovetti thinks that Rifaud has sold some Sekhmet to Belzoni. But there I have to read and complete the information. And there was a problem between, as always, I repeat, between Rifaud and Drovetti about this statue that maybe goes to, I think, maybe goes to British or to Louvre. I have to follow what Defoven do. These are the other Sekhmet that are not this one, and but there is a problem. It's not easy to understand what happened to this statue. That the Rifaud seems that Rifaud find alone, only for his pleasure to make it, before to join the excavation with Drovetti.
From other sites, he didn't take it.
No, I have loose between them, only a torso of Sekhmet that I don't know where now it is. The count 1, 2, 3 doesn't is correct. Sorry for my English. But anyway, is not correct about also the seated Sekhmet, because in the first catalogue of the Egyptian Museum of Turin, of some Sekhmet statues seated, the seated one is right, they have to go to Louvre. Maybe they stay in Turin, maybe the Louvre, no.
Yes.
Maybe they stay in Turin, but they have maybe to go to Louvre.
Thank you. I just want to add that we have invited also Christophe Thiers to talk about the Sekhmet of the Karnak, but he had something very important to do, and he could next time, we hope. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your research. But I want to ask a question. You have said there is 13 statues for Sekhmet. This man held it from Karnak here to Alexandria. To move out or to leave it in Alexandria? That's the question.
If the 13 statues go to Alexandria, they will need
to leave out, or that to hold out throughout the world, or that to live in Alexandria?
They are collected all together and they go to Italy after. Maybe I don't understand the question, it's probably. No, they are all, Drovetti is quickly, he wants to do business, because immediately go to
Okay, well, could you please join me in saying